if you can see what I can see, we are looking at a beautiful picture of a girl who is enjoying the money raining on her. And no, that's not me. I would be great to be me. I'd be happy to be in that picture. But this morning I'm calling in to be with you from Mission Viejo, not from Europe. And, you're in the right place if you came to listen to a few of the tools and techniques that I've learned over the years about sales. Now, I certainly don't know everything about sales, but what I found, and I got really inspired to do this training for you recently, is that we were at our Limitless Women event a few weeks ago, and many of you were there with us, and some of you wanted to be with us and weren't able to make it this time. So I can tell you now, save the date, for April 7th through the 9th of 2017. It's an annual event. We only do once a year, and it's a really fun, very special, magical event. I do 2 events a year. Limitless Women is an event where I invite basically about 100 women that I absolutely adore who are well established in business, and we get together and we share resources and mastermind. And what was created this year was just so very magical. And part of the magic for me as the hostess with the mostest, if you will, is that my daughter Erica was with us. And Heidi, I so appreciate you being here because you and I have been friends now for 5 years. You remember her coming to the very first Powered with Passion event back in 2010 when Elaine and I put on our first, kind of trial event. Actually, you and I had met in Vegas in the fall, and that was October. And she was, again, 5 years ago, she was 14. And so now she's, she's just turned 20 this week. So she's all grown up, and it was really amazing to see the different levels of women connecting with one another and reaching out and sharing. We just have a way of doing that. We have a way of sharing with one another. And we have a few really special men who are in our community. And so I want to give them a shout out because I see some of you on the call. I see Eric on the call. I know Rob's been here yesterday. I don't know if he's going to be here for tonight. Rob is here as well. So thank you, my loves. Thank you for you amazing men who are here supporting us as we step into our leadership as women. And, what's really smart, just as an aside, is that as a member of eWomen Network, one of the things that they share with us frequently is that buying decisions are made, about 85% of buying decisions are made by women. So even if you're not a woman and you work with women or you have a product or service that you're going to be selling to women, it's good to know how women work. So we're going to talk today a little bit about sales with ease, and I'm going to tend to give the women's perspective because I'm a woman. And more importantly, I can tell you that I've done it both ways, right? I've been very successful in business coming from a very masculine driven perspective, and that has not always worked well for me personally. In fact, it kind of leads into this, which is that, when I was at Sales with Ease, I was just so excited to see my daughter there and to have her with us as an adult. And it wasn't that long ago, it seems like for me, like a minute ago, that I was a single mom and my first husband and I got divorced. It was a huge wake-up call for me, and I really put myself in a position where I was not good, right? Not good physically, not good emotionally, not good financially. And what I realized in the course of putting this together for you guys, there were many people in the audience, many women in the audience at Limitless Women who were really successful. I mean, they've been in business for years, some people decades, literally decades. And at the same time, they weren't experiencing profitability. They weren't experiencing happiness. They weren't experiencing joy. And, at our event that we do in September, the Path to Freedom event, I'll talk to you a little bit about that. But at the Path to Freedom event, what I look at is what is the goal, right? I mean, like the whole thing with sales is that it gets to be so overwhelming for folks, and yet it is the number one most important thing that you need to handle as a business owner if you want to generate revenue for your company. We talk about sales teams. People have asked questions about that, like, should I outsource this? I'm like, yeah, you can, but the bottom line is you want to get your money handled for you. And I know that when I had these 2 little babies that were 2 and 5 years old and was in a situation where I had a lot of debt, and my ex-husband was not in a position to pay child support. It's no disrespect to him, it's just where we had gotten ourselves into. Sales was really the thing that helped me get out of it. Sales was the thing that really allowed me to take care of my children, to be the primary breadwinner in my family, to make sure that they got what they needed in school and that they were able to play soccer. And, that's just a little close to home for me personally right now, looking at them as adults. And, I want you to think about why you'd want to get this handled for yourself. It's like anything. Sales is one of those things that's hard just when it's new for you. I mean, so for me today, trying to put together, my PowerPoint and use this new technology, and I'm hoping and praying that it's working and that we're recording, and, we're all doing the best we can with what we have. But what's really available for you in handling this process is that when sales is working and money is coming in for you with ease and grace, your whole life operates differently. It really does. So I want you to take out a pen and paper and take some notes today. I'm going to go very quickly. Those of you like Heidi, God bless you, my dear friends, been with me for 5 years. Some of you legacy leaders have been with me for years. I go very, very quickly on trainings, and I'm going to tell you how to go deeper with me. I'm getting ready to go to Africa. In the end of 2014, I was in a position financially, emotionally, and with my relationship with Scott and my family where I decided that I wanted to make my work in the next 5 years to have my company have 100% of our profits go to philanthropy. We're right now at 20% of all of our income, which proportionally for our profits is about 50%. So we're close. And our goal with this is really, again, to have my time be out in the world leading leaders like yourselves to have your businesses be highly profitable so that you can join me on these adventures. And what I'm doing for the next 6 weeks with our legacy leaders at their request is taking this content that I'm teaching you today in Sales with Ease. I'm going to give you a big visionary broad stroke as quickly as I can with all the details. And then I'm going to be working for the next 6 weeks privately with our legacy leaders and probably about 10 of you that are not currently clients in a one-on-one intensive. We're going to be working with me privately to get this handled for you. So I'm going to fly today, and I'm going to be really happy and look forward to working with those of you that want my partnership on getting this handled personally so that you can really, fly with us. So what we're going to do is go through this today, and I just want you to ask yourself before I dive deep into it is what would it be like for you if sales were easy? Most of us get into business because we're excited about something, we see an opportunity, we love to help people, and I know that if you're on this call with me, you're that person. You're that person who loves to help people. And I just know that because as we were crafting, and I keep referring back to Heidi was my very first client and 2 clients that came out of our first event, Heidi and Vivian, and became dear friends of ours. And we were looking for the commonality the next year. We had 4 clients. Most of you that are in business for a while, you've got systems, you've got things in place. Some of you are just getting started, and I want you to understand that this is how it works for all of us. We get into something, we know it's going to be great, and then if we don't get the tools, it takes a little time to figure out how to make things work. And part of what was happening for me when I started my leadership company is that I was kind of dabbling. I was doing a lot of education, I was learning, and I wish I would have had this content. I wish I would have known. Really, I wish isn't this like so silly, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again. But I wish I would have had some of the things I'm going to share with you today to really accelerate my process. I knew a lot about sales, I knew about people, but I didn't know about how to build a company where I was the face of the brand. And, we get stuck. There's belief systems that get in the way. Sometimes we feel like there's not enough hours in the day because we're doing too many things. And we love what we're doing, but we're not really making the money we'd hoped for. And it's also kind of a weird thing when you're behind your computer all day. It's a little too easy for us to do our businesses today, hiding from our computer, hiding from our office. And what I find is that, connections and relationships are the fabric of life. It's really what makes us feel amazing. And so I want to, as I'm giving you the overview of sales, what I really want to do also is give you some tools to look at, like where this applies in your business. Because, in 2011, the revenue for my company was like my first year of having a company of leadership, and my revenue was $57,000. And in 2012, my revenue went from $57,000 to $250,000. And I can tell you that the single distinction for going from dabbling in a business to being highly accelerated was getting help. I needed mentorship. I needed to make some really clear commitments with my husband about the fact that I was doing this, that I wasn't going to wait for his permission. I wasn't going to, be afraid that if I stepped into my power that somehow it was going to cost our relationship. And there are a lot of fears around doing this. The other piece was that I was afraid, how do I afford this, right? I mean, I wasn't making a bunch of money. So I want to share with you how I got very clear and focused on sales. I got very clear and focused on my business. And then my business, I don't know what you call that, more than quadrupled in 1 year. And I had to make some investments. I spent $30,000 in 2012 investing in myself, investing in getting the tools that I needed. So I want you to really think about what are the tools you need to make this happen for you. I'm going to focus predominantly on sales. It's a Sales with Ease training. And I want you to be thinking about what would your life be like if you really could have time freedom, emotional freedom, and this financial freedom so that money was not in the way. I talk about frequently how money is the easy part. And, I just find that to be true for me. I'm very good at making money. I enjoy making money. I know all of you, when you get a nice big fat check, you enjoy that as well. It's never about the money, but I know that when the money's in place, when we have consistent recurring revenue, where our revenue is sustainable and we're actually in a place of growth, it feels really good and juicy for us to be doing what we're here to do, right? To do the things that we love. And the challenge is that it just gets too easy to be distracted. There's too many moving pieces. Most of us are juggling too many balls. And that's why I say, really on today's call, give yourself permission to don't be multitasking. It's the bane of women's existence. Men, I love you for being here. And, you guys tend to be better at focus than we are. We can get into a whole conversation of why that is, but we should have that over a glass of wine. Right now, let's just suffice it to say that, because of the way we're made, women tend to be capable at doing multiple things, and we tend to think that we're doing multiple things well, and the reality is we are not. We've got to be clear and focused and really get the things handled that are driving revenue in our company, therefore creating a consistent cash flow for ourselves, our businesses, and our families. And when you don't have this handled, you guys know what it feels like. When you're not making money and you're up in the middle of the night, it's almost impossible to be creative. When you're scattered and there's just crap laying around, ask me how I know, it's impossible to be creative. And what I find is that when my bottom line is suffering, when I am feeling scarce, when I'm feeling tight around money, when I'm feeling afraid, what starts happening is my health starts suffering. I'm not sleeping well. My relationships are not great because I tend to be a little bitchy. And, my purpose becomes challenged. It's easy to lose sight of what I'm here to do. When we were doing the research, Julia Petrosor was the editor that helped me with my writing to write the book Limitless Women, which we published in March. And when we were doing the research, the most recent statistic that we could find for what was happening in the world in revenue was that in 2013 was, and I know that's old, guys, but that's what we could find from the census from the United Nations, 2.8 billion, that's billion with a B, 2.8 billion people on the planet were still living on less than $3 a day. I've seen statistics more recently that have said that the numbers have gone down a little bit, but it's still over 2 billion people. And when we look at the fact that, we're struggling financially, we're struggling with how do we pay our bills, and we keep ourselves up at night about this, I want you to get this handled. I want you to get it handled for your own health, wealth, and love. And more importantly, I want you to join me as the leader that you are, because there's a whole lot of people out there that need our help. And I know as a community, we can really help millions, if not billions of people if we get clear and focused and get our own stuff handled. So for a lot of folks, when I meet them, what ends up, being the challenge around sales is asking for the money. There's somehow that we attach that we are asking for money for ourselves. You're really not. I'm going to break through that paradigm for you today, and I want you to understand that the money is the easy part. You're going to hear me say that again and again and again, but the money is the easy part. The part that becomes difficult and why we need partnership and why we need people around us to help us make it happen is that our mindset and the place in our lack of education or the place in lack of systems and structure in our business is where we start to feel insecure and inadequate. And when we actually know that sales is not about us, that we get to be of service to other people, all of these objections around being afraid to ask for the money, being found out, the fraud factor is alive and well. And it's amazing to me sometimes the most powerful, successful people that I meet in the world are still driven by something underneath that has them feel like they're not enough. They don't want to be rejected. And all of this stuff seems to come up for us in the sales process, right? And really it only comes up because we've lost sight of the fact that this is not about us. This is really about how do we influence folks and serve them. And you're going to hear me come back to this again and again. Sales is simply service. You get to be of service. You get to be in a position where you provide a solution to a problem. And some of you on this call right now, I know, are in the nonprofit sector, and some of you are in the for-profit sector. And, at this point, I'd say my time is spent, about 40% of my time is spent in the nonprofit sector. I serve on many advisory boards and work with nonprofits because a business is a business is a business. And a lot of you that are my for-profit clients and partners, what we look at is how do we get our for-profit business up and thriving. And sales is the key, because sales is just about impact and influence. It's about how do we bring people along on the journey with us? How do we actually find the people that we are uniquely designed to serve? I'm going to talk to you about this in the context of what's been my experience. And, I've had a lot of different types of business. I've had a real estate company, everything from real estate sales to real estate investing to real estate development. I've owned retail stores. I've owned tasting rooms. I've owned a winery, a designer boutique. The picture, if you can see it on the slide, is a picture of me dressed as a wench. When I married into my first family businesses, I've actually owned 3 different restaurants. A tanning salon, all different types of things. And my leadership company has taken me into a place of being a partner with other people's businesses. So at this point in time, I'm recording this in 2016, I have owned 9 companies. I've sold 6 of them. And that's really what brings people to the Path to Freedom event, because when we look at your time freedom, your emotional freedom, your financial freedom, a lot of times we get into business and we're not looking at our exit strategies. And for me, business is simply a way to have fuel for the fire that you are passionate about. I want you to not just have your business be your whole life. And I can tell you that in this picture where I'm dressed as a wench, in my cute little self at 23, people would say to me, what do you do for a living? And I would say, well, today I'm a waitress, and, tomorrow I'm a dishwasher, and on Wednesday I might be the cashier. Many of you are wearing way too many hats in your businesses. You're doing everything that needs to be done. You're working way too many hours. One of my fondest experiences this year has been working with Heather Christensen, who was working 60 hours a week, literally, and not seeing her son, who is 7 years old, and not having time with her partner, and just really feeling like she just was burnt out and exhausted. And I wish I had a picture of her to show you, because she recently posted on Facebook she's lost this year. Not only has she lost 40 hours a week of working time by getting clear and focused on what she does in her business, she's actually replaced her full-time revenue as an entrepreneur, gone out on her own, and is now working 20 hours a week and has lost, I want to say, close to 30 pounds in 1 year. So proud of her. This is the piece, guys. What's available for you is time freedom, emotional freedom, time to be with people that you love, and it all lies in the systems. And I have tried to make systems sexy for 5 years since I, put my shingle out there. People kept asking me, how is it possible that you have all these companies and you still have time to, travel to Asia and Africa and Alaska? I've got all the A's on these pictures of my children and myself and my babies growing up. And the bottom line is, without systems, without formulas, without having structures in place, there's no way that I could have the freedom that I have. So, the Sales with Ease system, the Sales with Ease formula, what I'm going to share with you today, that I'm going to give you the fast, down, and dirty, I encourage you to get into action with it. I encourage you to get money handled. And I want to invite you to work with me on this deeper if you know it's a place that you need help. The worst thing in the world is to be in a place where you're struggling financially, to know you need help, and then to say, I can't afford it. I've made this program free for you. I offered it live because guess what happens? If I put it out there as a recording, and, we might be generous and send it out this weekend, because we have people that are writing to me, thousands and thousands of people at this point now that are following us on our list. And I love them all, and I would love for them all to get handled. But here's the real deal. Those of you that are showing up are going to get the most value. Those of you that actually show up in your own life and take action are the people that actually get results. So congratulations. I want to do my best for you today, give you the scoop, give it to you quickly. And I don't want to hear at the end of this, gosh, Laura, I really love to work with you. Now, I understand when I invite you, there's only 2 ways to work with me privately outside what I'm going to share with you today. And because you're here, you're actually going to get the access to hear this. But when I do a live event, I have two invitations at the live event. One is that you can work with me privately for an intensive, for a private retreat. People come to my home in Sedona. It's magnificent. It's my third best creation. You see my three children on the slide, Scotty, Jacob, and Erica. I gave birth to Jacob and Erica, so I consider them my first two best creations. Scotty, my gorgeous boy, he came to me beautiful when he was 15 years old. But my home in Sedona, people come there and do an accelerated retreat. We charge $8,500 for that. It's basically you spend 3 days with me in my home, and we blow out all of your business plans. We blow out your entire year. The other way to work with me is as a private client. I have 2 levels. It's a year-long program. It is now $15,000 if you are an emerging leader and you have a small business, and it is $30,000 if you're a well-established business and you need me to train not only yourself, but come to your office and train your team. I love working with teams. So that's really how it goes, guys. I want you to have that same clarity when I'm telling you this, because when somebody says to me, gosh, I have a business, I've been in business for 20 years and I can't afford to pay you $30,000, I understand that if they don't have profitability. When I say to somebody, here's a free training, you don't want to say I can't afford to be there because I got other things to do. So I want you to get this thing handled for yourself. Spend time playing with people you love. I want you to be thinking about the bigger picture of why you're on this call, and I'm going to give you some tools to work with. Now, this stuff only works if you work it. Now, I know I'm not supposed to tell you that because in sales, they're going to tell you, you want to tell people about the results. You want to tell them about the happy stuff, right? You guys would like to stay with me on this slide, talk about the elephant in Thailand, talk about staying in a Buddhist monastery in Japan. So friggin' cool. All right. And guess why I'm able to do that? Because I'm really clear about my revenue generating activities. I'm really clear about who I'm here to serve. I'm really clear about how you can work with me. And if something doesn't fall in those paradigms, I say no. Why do I say no? Because I have people I love that I want to hang out with. Get the idea? You have people you love that you want to hang out with. How are you going to hang out with them and play with them? By getting really clear and focused on your revenue generating activities. Now, here's a caveat, because there's a lot of women in our community. Women that I got invited to speak a few years ago when I was just getting started, and I was speaking up in Red Deer, Alberta, which is in BFE, for those of you that don't know, in Canada. And a woman in the audience asked me, she said, you guys come up here and talk to us about sales. You talk to us about marketing. I don't get the difference. I don't understand. And what came out of my mouth in that moment, that I've said many times since, is that my best understanding is marketing is like foreplay. Marketing is a place where you're nurturing people, you're loving on them, you're kind of giving them, you're flirting with them a little bit, you're trying to get them into your party. Sales is where you do the deed. Sales is where you actually, the rubber hits the road, the currency gets exchanged, people are committed, they're in it, they're vulnerable, and there's an energy exchange, like the deed, and money exchanged hands. Now, the reason I'm giving that context, besides to make sure you're paying attention, is that women are really good. We love foreplay. We love marketing. We want to play, and we generally are not great at asking for money. Now, some of you gentlemen are awesome at going for the sale, but I can tell you it doesn't always work for you with women when you're on your first date and you ask for the deed. We need a little playing. So there's something that has to happen in this conversation today where I'm going to talk to you about the sale, and I'm going to talk to you about how to have the sale be really easy and have the money be the easy part, because your marketing and your foreplay and your love and your nuance is all involved in my sales process. So your ability to build deeply committed, connected relationships very, very quickly will be a key to you being highly successful. Now, if you just go for the sale without any marketing or foreplay, you can get money. If you just go for marketing and you don't go for the sale, you cannot get money. All right? Marketing without sales does not work. Sales without marketing works sometimes, but the golden trifecta for me is, how is my marketing leading people into my sales funnel to have a conversation that generates revenue? And I learned to do this because when I was a single mom, and I'm back up here, not to make you look at my whole slides again, but I can tell you that when I was here, with a mortgage payment of $1,200 a month and child care of $1,200 a month and a car payment of $1,000 a month, and it was ridiculous, and credit cards. I was so upside down financially, and it was me and 2 babies. I had to figure this stuff out quickly, And I learned how to do this selling resort ownership. I lived in Sedona, and we would go. I went on a timeshare presentation, and they sold me a timeshare. And the woman who sold me a timeshare said, "You should get a real estate license. You'd be great at this." And I had to learn how to take complete strangers that came in for a free gift who were not interested in buying anything and take them from zero to a minimum of a $10,000 sale in less than an hour. So what I'm saying to you guys is this. When you learn how to build highly connected relationships, and you know, some of you that are actually showing up live, you show up live for all my stuff. I love you. I thank you. I'm so excited to be in your partnership with you. You know, you fall in love with me. I fall in love with you. Everything I'm going to share with you today is all about authenticity. It's all about service. It's all about positioning yourself in a place of clarity of who you're here to serve, who you get to be friends with. I love, and it makes me so very happy that my very first client in my leadership company is on this call today. I love that people that bought a timeshare from me, you know, Scott and I have been married 16 years. People that bought a timeshare from me 17 years ago, Ed and Elizabeth Carroll, we just spent Thanksgiving with them. This is juicy stuff, guys. You want to get it handled, and you want it to be fun, and it's all about clarity. So remember the slide. I won't be hopping around making you crazy, but remember the slide with all the distractions. I've got to get you to slow down and pay attention to these things I'm sharing with you and keep you on track. And that's why people hire me for partnership. You know, I am a great business partner because I will kick your butt and keep you on track. And it's not, you know, it's not always fun. So let's talk about the psychology. Sorry, when I uploaded my slides, some of this things got a little funky, but basically what it said was, you know, service and sales are really the same thing. And psychology is the first step to sales with ease. Your psychology has to be on it, and you have to understand what their psychology is. None of you got up this morning and said, hey, let me go on this free training with Laura and then sign up to become a year-long client at $30,000. I'm really crystal clear. That's not what you got up for this morning. You got up for it because you knew that you had some problems with finances. You needed some help with your money. You know that you're here for a bigger game. You know that you want to make a difference in the world, or else you wouldn't hang out with me, because these are only people I hang out with, right? Like legacy leaders. I hang out with people that are actually interested in serving and making a difference. So knowing that, what I have to do is love on you, give you my very best, and remember my own psychology, which is this. It's what I call the 1, 2, 3. I tend to go through it pretty quickly in this call, but I'll tell you, it's one of the most important things I work on privately with people is helping them get super clear on what I call your 1, 2, 3. And the better you get at this and the faster you get this handled, the more money you're going to make, okay? Because money loves clarity. Number one, who are you here to serve? The big secret for you, the big clue for you in this is I want you to look for somebody who's a little bit like you, somebody who, you know, has struggled with something that you're familiar with, and you've usually come through it, right? And so if you have a business where you are a health and wellness professional, and you know that you've struggled with your own weight problems, usually you're called into that service because it's something you've struggled with. If you have a business where you're teaching people presentation skills, your leadership skills, you probably have you know, a place where you've had to overcome your own fears of getting on stage and being powerful. If you have a business where you're an empowerment leader, it's probably because somewhere somebody told you weren't good enough, and so you spent a lifetime getting it handled. You get the idea? So if you have a brick and mortar business, let's say that you're in the money business and you're helping people with money, generally what ends up happening is a lot of people who are in accounting or in finance, they're healers, right? We tend to have a lot of healers in our world. We have a lot of people who are CPAs and bookkeepers, and what ends up happening is that they're actually money healers, right? They've struggled themselves financially. They've learned their own demons, and they're actually out to help others, all right? So I want you to just think about this. Number one is, who are you here to serve? Number two, what are they struggling with? And number three, how are you uniquely qualified to help them? I put this in the psychology because you're going to meet a whole lot of people that are not your ideal clients. You're going to meet way more people that you're not here to serve than you're going to meet people that you are here to serve. And the challenge is that when we think we can help everybody, we're wrong. Okay, there's 7.3 billion people on the planet. If you could get your butt in gear and help 1,000,000 of them, I promise you money will never be the issue. Money is not the problem. Your relationship with money is a problem, which is why you need a partner like me, because I can tell you that I have come from a place where I really struggled financially. I did not know what I was doing, and I got a ton of education, and I got an action, because intention doesn't change your life. You get motivated, you got 2 little babies to support, and yourself, and you love them, you get yourself together, right? Whatever that wake-up call is for you right now, where you're paying attention, please, let's do it easy. Let's do it simply. You are a one-of-a-kind person, and so are the people you're here to serve. And the piece of you getting loud and clear about who you are here to serve and how you can help them moves everything so quickly. Oh, I wish I could fix this. So their psychology, you can see them, this person holding out a hand, is WIIFM, which is hiding behind the hand. So what's in it for me? People do not, again, look for, they may like you, they may hang out with you, but what they wake up with is they have a problem that they want a solution to. All right, that's why they show up for the party. When they show up for the party, it's your job to offer amazing service. You are uniquely created to serve somebody that is your ideal client. I cannot reiterate this enough. When you spend time talking to people that are not your ideal client, you're shooting yourself in the foot and it's not working. So Alex wrote to me about a question about giving away sessions, right? 30-minute sessions, and what's happening, you're not converting. I just want to answer the questions because you guys, I said that I would if you wrote to me. The problem with giving away sessions when you're not clear on who you're here to serve, what's unique about them, and why you're uniquely talented to help them is that you're not talking to your people, so it's very difficult to convert those sales. So one of the things that we use, and I'll tell you where you can find this right now, is pathtofreedomcall.com. That's pathtofreedomcall.com. This is your Showing Up Live bonus. If you'll go to pathtofreedomcall.com, you can actually apply to have a conversation with me there. And there's a little quick survey that's 10 questions on what's going on and how can I help you. If you put something together like that for yourself, we use Poll Daddy, which is a free service. You can also use SurveyMonkey. What you want to do, Alex, is you want to be clarifying people before you speak to them. You want to make sure that they are actually your ideal client. It is an application process to speak with me, not because I don't love you, but because I'm really clear that there is one of me, that there are billions of people that need access to things like food and water, that I'm a powerful leader, and I'm very, very good at generating money, and I'm committed to using my superpowers now that I've raised my family and reached financial independence. I'm committed to using my superpowers to help other leaders who want to join me in philanthropy and serving nonprofits. That's where I spend my time. What's important for you to understand when I'm talking about myself is that I want you to look at your own commitment and your own core values. When you know exactly who you're here to speak to, you don't speak to the people you're not here to speak to. I'm not trying to be unkind. I just mean that who are you going to spend private time with? You're going to spend private time with people that are actually somebody you can help. It takes a little positioning. It takes some psychology, but I know you can do this, and I can work with you more on it privately if you decide you want to do the program. So the second step in the Sales with Ease process is warming up. Most of us, I joke a little bit about foreplay and the deed, but it's really the truth. Most of us don't meet a complete stranger and then just get right into it. There has to be a warm-up process. Now, when you are in this type of situation where you're leading from the stage or you're teaching like I'm teaching on a webinar, the warm-up is coming in the context of the story that I told you about Heather Christensen. So you're starting to see some commonality with yourself and that person and me. The story of me being a single mom, you're starting to see some commonality, right? The more places you can be vulnerable and warm up, the more it works when you're having a one-to-many conversation. When you're having a one-to-one conversation, which is going to be 99.999% of your sales conversations, it's going to happen in number 2. And number 2 becomes where you're actually getting to know somebody and you're finding something in common with them. And this can be as simple as like, where are you from? Jesse and my partner and my publisher always jokes about this when he was joking about the other day when he was doing training. We'll be out someplace to dinner or something, and then I'll go in the bathroom and disappear for a long time, not because I'm sick, but because I made a friend. And I meet some of the most amazing women in the bathroom. I'll show you a picture of one in a few minutes who's become a client of ours. And, the warm-up is just where you actually let your barriers down, and you're actually just being a human. You're just relating to another person. This is a part of the process. When I'm teaching you Sales with Ease, I'm going to go through these 7 steps very quickly with you. I want you to understand there's a reason why I spend the majority of this training on steps 1 through 4. It's not that 5, 6, 7 don't matter, but 1 through 4 is where all the money is, because all the money in sales lies in emotion. Eric, I know if you're listening to me right now, you are with me on this one. All the money lies in emotion. That's where the $1 million distinctions lie. That's where your $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, probably $50,000 clients lie. When you look at the lifetime relationships that we have with our clients, our client is not worth to us just a ticket to a live event. We build partnerships with them. We love them. We want to earn their business time and time again, and we want them to partner with us in solving world hunger and providing water, right? So the warm-up is the most important part, because this is where relationships are built. This is where the deep connection is built. And you don't get to ask for the money. You don't get to invite someone to work with you if you don't have the bottom line of know, like, and trust. So let me slow down because I'm going fast on that. If somebody meets you and they feel like they don't have anything in common with you, it's difficult for them to see you as a solution to their problem. My ability to fall in love with you very quickly is really an authentic practice that I've learned over the years by finding something that I love in people. And those of you who haven't, just kind of an aside, this is, I'm not trying to sell you a book. In fact, I'll give you a free copy of my book if you don't have it. Here's your for staying on the call thing. I'll give you a free copy of my book at the end of the call. But in my book, Stop the Spinning, I talk about how, because I grew up in a family that was extremely violent, and the world was a scary place for my parents. We never had friends around. We never had people stay over. It was just there was too much going on. I had to learn how to be kind to people. I had to learn how to make friends with people. And sales, it's actually one of my superpowers, which I think is kind of a fascinating thing. And you have your own version of this, but your ability to be warm and connect with people is going to be something that cannot be skipped over. Because what happens after you've built a commonality with people and you find something you have in common with them, right? Like it could be something in your past, it could be your family members, it could be someplace you've traveled, it could be a shared passion that you have. Then you start to discover what's actually going on underneath for people. Now, discovery is priceless. It's not even $1 million distinction. It's priceless, because what happens in discovery is this. You're listening for where there is a problem. You're actually listening for how you may be of service. And one of the things, to go back to Alex's questions, she had several for me there, but about kind of pre-qualifying people. When I'm in a networking environment, and I'm telling you guys, I'm still out there with you, I'm very successful in my businesses, I have multiple streams of income, and I still have to leave home. So none of this actually works if you don't leave the house. So I'm just going to put that as a caveat. But when I'm out meeting people in a new environment, I'm either speaking at an event or I'm attending an event as a participant, my question is this. When I meet somebody after we've done a little love, we've kind of warmed up, how are you, blah, blah, blah. My question always is this. What do you need most in your business right now, and how can I support you? If you don't actually have this in your toolbox, I want you to write it down. What do you need most in your business right now, and how can I support you? If you're working with people in a personal level as a personal healer, then I want you to ask them about, what do they need most right now? Where is their pain, and how can you help them? If you're working with the relationships of people, where is the problem, and how can you help them? I want you to understand that what ends up happening when you do this, you put yourself in a position of service. You put yourself in the position of being a servant. And this is your opportunity to practice presence, where there's nothing else in the world more important than that person sitting in front of you. This goes back to the beginning when I talked to you about not being distracted. This is a multi-million dollar distinction, and I'm going to tell you why I know this to be true. If you're able to see your screen, you see 2 of the 3 people that I've met that have actually been role models to me in the power of presence. The first one who's not in this picture is Tony Robbins, and I met him back in 1997 when I first started selling timeshare, 1998. And he was hosting an event, and he wasn't a big famous guy like he is now. He was a pretty famous guy, but he wasn't like he is now. He was hosting an event called the leading edge. And it was a sales training, and it was just a small event. And I flew up to Washington State and went to this training. It was a small room, kind of like how we do some of our smaller events now, and there's just a handful of people in the room. And I got to learn from Tony Robbins, and it was like with the notebook and the paper, and definitely not there was no CDs, there was no books. This was back in the day, okay, almost 20 years ago. And at the end of the event, I went up and talked to him. And he's a pretty tall guy, and I'm not that tall. And he bent over, just big deep voice in his big hands, and he said, "Laura, it's so great to meet you. How can I help you?" And I'm just like, ugh, my heart's just so open in that moment. And I said to him, Tony, have you ever spoken in Arizona? And he said, "No, I live in California." And I said, it would be great if you would come to Arizona. People would really like you there. And so 2 years later, in 2000, he spoke at an event called Reunion 2000. I don't know if any of you were there, but I went to this event. It was Reunion Arena. There were 10,000 people. And obviously, I was not getting to shake his hand at that point. But I can tell you this. I doubt that Tony Robbins came to Arizona because I put a seed in his head. I think he was just, being his magnificence. What happened for me in that moment is that I was experiencing myself very differently, being seen and heard by a person who was completely and totally present in our conversation. The other people that are on this slide are Sandra Yancey, Lisa Sasevich, Kim Yancey, Brenda Burchard. We were having dinner together in Dallas a few years ago. And this was a huge deal for me because these are people, Lisa, Brendan, and Sandra, all people that I looked up to. And Kim, I totally look up to. I adore Kim, but I didn't know him at the time. And I have been at events with Sandra Yancey where I was just a member of eWomen Network. I was not anybody that special to her. As far as I know, this woman has 500,000 people on her database. And we were up in Connecticut in an event. Scott and I were there. My husband and I were there. 300 people in the room. She came off stage. I walked up to her. She got tears in her eyes and started crying when she saw me. She was so happy to see me. This is after we've been together to dinner. I cannot even fathom what it takes for a person to be so present in the moment and so full of joy after giving a presentation to 300 people, but that's how she was. At this dinner party that you see me here with Brendan and Lisa, I said to Brendan, it's the first time I ever met him personally, it was absolutely amazing. He was one of my heroes. He now, I think, has 10 million people on his podcast. We were sitting there and I said to him, "Brendan, what do you need most in your business and how can I support you?" I said to him exactly the same thing that I said to you. You've got to know this. This is a powerful distinction. And the first thing he said was like, "Gee, Laura," he really does say gee, believe it or not, he's like that in human life. He said, "Gee, Laura, thank you. I'm so honored." People who are players you're going to know right away when you ask that question because they're present to the question. You're present to what's happening to them. They're present to your question. I know I'm spending a lot of time on this as number 3, but I promise you, if you don't get number 3 right, you don't get to go on to number 7, which is where you collect the cash, okay? The power of presence cannot be overstated here. Your willingness and your ability to get uber focused and be with that person right then, right now. And he asked me to actually promote for his book, which I did, which is great. And then I saw him a few weeks later at another event. He came running up to me, gave a big hug and a kiss. Presence matters. People remember you. You remember them. You actually have an opportunity to open up a deep relationship. Are you with me on this? If you can hear me, give me an amen. I can't hear you, but I know that you can hear me. This is important. Don't skip this one. All right. In this, you're looking for a pain. You're looking for a solution. Now, Brenda Burchard is perfectly fine without me. We all know that. So is Tony Robbins. But there's something about an invitation. So when I said, "Hey, how can I help?" and he said, "Hey, would you promote my book for me?" I'm like, "Of course I would. I have a little list." Back in the day, I didn't have as big a list as I do now because of people like him and Lisa and Sandra. I have a much bigger list. Thank you very much. But he had a pain. He had a new book coming out. It was called The Charge. He needed to get it out there. That's why I was speaking at eWomen. And I was able to, send him out to probably at the time like 10,000 people. Who knows how many of those people bought a book? But there was an energy exchange. All of your sales are simply an energy exchange. They're simply a solution to a problem. It doesn't have to be a dramatic pain. It has to be, where is there a problem and how can you provide a solution? Heidi, with your company, you help us save money. You also give us the opportunity to give back through our credit card processing. Those are things. It's not a terrible pain, but it's a joy to work with you because you provide a solution to our problem and we know we can trust you. All right. So psychology is number 1, yours and theirs. Warming up is number 2. Don't skip it. Make friends. Learn how to be amazing at building relationships. Discovery is number 3. You have to find out where there's a problem. The way you find out if you're on track is by number 4, which is, to me, the secret sauce of all sales, and I don't see anybody teaching it. I mean, maybe somebody's going to listen to my training and go out and teach it. Maybe one of y'all are going to teach it to your people. I don't know. Excuse me for a second. I'm going to take a sip of tea. But this is the place that I find all of my money. Let me say this back to you. All of my money comes from this step. All of your money lies in this step. Do you think this might be a place to pay attention? Of course. That's why I'm slowing down. Information confirmation is quite simply this. You're meeting somebody, you're excited, they're excited, you're building a relationship, you're having a conversation. You ask a question, what do you need most right now? How can I support you? They're going to tell you what they need. Information confirmation is this. I repeat back to Brendan Burchard. Dude, you're a big guy. You've got like all these people following you. You're such a rock star. How can I help? Would me, little old me, just promoting you on social media, sending out an email make a difference? And he said, yes, that's exactly what I need. I need people like you and people like your friends and people like other people. The only way that he was able to get to where he has 10 million people following him now is that people like you and I love him and are sharing his message. Okay? So what I want you to do is when somebody says, this is the problem that I have, I want you to repeat it back to them. Did I get it correctly? Did I hear what you need? All you're doing is repeating this back to them. It's a pretty simple thing psychologically. But what it does is it lets the person know that you're hearing them and you're actually validating them. Listen, every human being on the planet wants to be seen and heard. We all want to matter. We all want to know that we are here. And most of us feel really lonely and not worth it. We feel like we're not good enough. And that's a whole other training. That's a lifetime of training in love. But what you do when you give somebody information confirmation, so if you're taking a client into your accounting practice, and they are with you personally, and they are in your office, and they are scared, and they know the IRS is coming, and they're embarrassed, and they've got shame. You've opened up a safe space for them. You've really given your heart. You're really present. And what happens is they start telling you stuff they never tell anybody else. They start having a place where they can actually share. This is where the healing happens. And when you are a healer, your sales are going to happen when you're healing, okay? So information confirmation is like, hey, I understand that you're scared. I understand that you're behind on your taxes. Did I get that correctly, that this is keeping you up at night? Yeah. If you do this correctly, you've actually gotten permission to move forward. This is where you anchor the feelings for the person. They know, like, and trust you. They know that you're in it for them. They want to be seen and heard, and all the money lies in the emotion. So they're thinking, what's in it for me? Now I'm a person with a problem. I have a person in front of me who actually hears what I'm saying, cares about providing a solution, and I have an opportunity to solve my problem. Get the idea? This is all the money, guys, right now. So no pain, no sale. If you have not uncovered the pain and you go to do information confirmation and you did not get it right, and you're a person who's doing your intake who says, no, the IRS really isn't my problem. My problem is that my business is falling apart and my marriage is bad. You're not on track, okay? You've got to get back on track. So go back to number 3 and say, tell me a little bit more about what's going on. You just want to get people open. You want them to open up to what the problem is. And the reason why I say, what do you need most in your business and how can I support you is this. I am a philanthropist who happens to be a great business partner. I partner with businesses, for-profit and non-profit, that are out to change the world. My question is geared towards business. If I am not the solution to their problem, I may have a reference for them, right? They may need something that I don't provide. They may need a great bookkeeper. They may need a great accountant. I want to refer them to one of my friends who that's their business. They may be a speaker, and they may need leadership training. They may need to be able to speak from a stage. That's not my expertise. I'm going to send them to Elizabeth. Do you get the idea? You've got to get this clear, because if you have not created the rapport and you have not discovered a problem and you don't have a solution available for them, there is no sale and the party's over. I know you don't want to hear this. 99% of the time, This is not going to be the issue, but I want you to understand that when I have clients who take sales with ease, and we have clients who have been doing it now for 3 years, because every year I offer it once a year. I do it for legacy leaders. They always ask me to do it again. It goes deeper every time. But what we do when we work privately with you is we actually craft your script. We actually give you the words to say so that you know when you're asking a question, if you don't have a sale at this point, you know how to go back, circle back around, and make it happen, okay? If you get to this point and it's working, you will actually know what to do next. And I'm going to tell you what to do next, which is step number 5, 6, and 7. But I have, this call is really 90 minutes, and I know some of you like to jump ahead, and I have a lot more ground to cover with you. So if you're interested in finding out about working with me personally for the next 6 weeks, I'm just going to give you an invitation to email me if you can't stay on the call. My email address is Laura, Laura, at lauragisborne.com. At the end of the call, I'm going to give away some free goodies to folks who have stayed with me, and I'm going to tell you how to work with me for the next 6 weeks. We put together a program where literally I'm going to be working with you personally, privately, and in group for the next 6 weeks because I leave for Africa July 1st, and I will not be back. And when I do get back, I'm gone for almost the entire month of July in Africa and Ecuador doing volunteer work and filming for our philanthropy TV show that we're producing. And when I come back in August and September, my calendar is full with private clients and getting ready for the Path to Freedom. So those of you that are going to join us in the Sales Intensive, you will have a ticket for the Path to Freedom, which includes all of your meals. We'll treat you as a VIP, including, feeding you and loving you and treating you as a private client, because this is a way that you and I can work together personally, and I'm excited to do that with you. So that'll be the next time we actually see each other in person. So 7 steps to sales with ease. Let's get back on that. Number 1 is the psychology. What's in it for me is what they're thinking. You've got to be positioned, not postured. You've got to be crystal clear on number 1, who you're here to serve, number 2, how you serve them, and number 3, what the unique solution is that you provide. I will be helping you with this because it's usually a place where people get stuck. And when you have crystal clear clarity on this, which is a lot of what we do with private clients, you actually now can move much quicker. The goal with this is to accelerate your profitability, to get you to the place where money's flying in easily and effortlessly, and that only happens from clarity. So your psychology is everything. Warming up, building quick relationships. I'll teach you some more things about that, but hopefully on this call you've gotten some ideas about how to build commonality. In our Sales with Ease training, I'll give you the questions to ask to actually make friends, okay? Discovery process. Mine is really the place where I'm asking you, what do you need and how can I help? This is the place where you open if you've done the first 2 steps correctly. You've got to see how the sequence is very, very integrated. You can't go down and ask for the sale and get it in an easy way with high closing percentages and high profitability if you're not doing these pieces. Information confirmation is you're going to ask, did I get it right? Did I uncover that even though you've been in business for years, you are still struggling financially? Even though you have a business that's bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars each year, you're not profitable. Did I understand the problem? Yeah. How does that make you feel? All the money lies in emotion. I promise you, when things look great on the outside and they suck on the inside, people feel like crap. And your only way to help them is if they're willing to partner with you. So number 5 is this, to ask for permission to share. It's also a place, in the sales language we call a trial close. So what I say to somebody when I meet them and they are in pain, and I know they're in pain, and I work with people that are smart people. I work with people that are caring people, and I work with people that are not profitable. They have successful businesses, but they're not profitable. And why they come to me is to, be able to not only look good on the outside, but to feel good on the inside, right? So what I say to them is, listen, I know you've tried other things. I know you've been out there and you're not feeling like, since you're not feeling profitable, you're feeling like you can't afford to hire me to help you. But if I could help you find a solution and I could show you how we could make your business profitable so it could actually pay for our partnership, would that be something you'd be interested in hearing? Of course. Let me tell you something. When I ask an audience, how many of you would like to have me as a business partner for the next year? Do you think not every person, let me not be arrogant. Not everybody raises their hands, but on a good day, probably 50, 70% of the room wants me as a business partner. I know a shit ton about opening a business, and I know how to have a profitable business and a business that's systemized because I've sold 6 of them. You can't sell a business if it's not running right. You've got to have the systems in place. So I'm not trying to be grand about that, but this is my superpower. So when I meet my ideal client who's a well-established business owner who is struggling financially, I know if they really want to make a difference in the world, we've got enough commonality. I can ask for permission to share how I might be able to help them. If they don't want to know what I have to say, guess what I do? Stop. If I don't have the pain correctly, I go back in and circle around and ask again. But if they don't want to move forward, why am I wasting my time? The thing to know about sales is this. My husband is a sales professional who works for Marriott now doing resort sales. He is, probably closes about 20%. His income, when he was doing this in Sedona was about $300,000 a year. It was pretty decent. He was making great money. And he left that. He left that to go and work in the wine store, which is always a fun business because our businesses just started growing to a place where we needed him to stop going to a job. But what I can tell you is that in the sales process, when people who are actually sales professionals, that's all they do for a living, 24/7. So those of you that are saying, like, how do I hire somebody else to do this for you? You don't. Not yet. Until you're Marriott, until you're a big corporation, you actually are not going to have a sales team until you get this handled for yourself. And guess what? The things that you hire out that you're not great at, you still have to have an understanding of because that's part of your leadership as a business owner. So in the sales arena, that people are sales professionals that make multiple 6 figures as sales professionals, their closing percentages generally are somewhere between 10 and 20%. Let me repeat that. People who are sales professionals, this is all they do for a living, day in, day out, 7 days a week. They're walking, talking, breathing sales. Their closing percentages are generally 10 to 20%. Those of you that think you have a closing percentage of, I close 80% of the people I talk to, you're full of poop. You actually don't understand your metrics. I can help you with this. I'm not trying to be rude, but this is what it is. You're going to meet people out in the world. Most of them are not your clients. Most of them are not the people that you're uniquely designed to serve. God has put us on the planet in this time frame with over 7 billion people. If each of us reach 1 million and there's 100 of us on this call, we're still only touching the tip of the iceberg. When you are reaching 1 million people, I promise you, you will not be struggling financially. If you're working with me and I train you about systems, because we want to work on your systems for finance, for sales and marketing, for leadership where we keep your head on straight, for building a team so you don't do the things that you don't want to do, and systems around operations so you actually can deliver the promise that you're here to do. So when you have that going, and sales is one of those pieces that drives the finance and drives the revenue for your company, 80 people may say no, 20 people may say yes. You've got to learn to stop talking to people that are not your people. If you've gotten through to number 5 in this process, you've shown up fully of service. You've cared about them. You've opened your heart and known that they're only looking for a solution. You've warmed them up and you've authentically made friends with people. You guys know that are my clients and my friends. We authentically make friends. You guys come sleep at my house. We travel together. We love each other, okay? It's real. It's not phony. It's all about love and service. Then we find out what's going on because of the trust factor, because of the authentic connection. You tell me stuff that you don't tell other people. People are crying around me quite frequently, and I'm not trying to be grand about that, but it's because they haven't been seen and heard. You can do the same thing in your service. You can authentically care for people, and it will open them up. And then when you find out the pain, if you have a solution for the problem, if you've only talked to the person who's your ideal person, you've gone down the rabbit hole, you know you have a solution, then you ask, may I be of service? They're going to say yes, of course they are. Who doesn't want a solution to their problem, okay? But also in the back of their mind, they're going to say, oh my gosh, I can't afford it. So the question becomes, when the trial closed, if money were not the problem, if we could get money out of the way and I could help you and I could be your business partner and I could make this work, would you be interested in learning more? Write it down. It's important. If money was not the problem, I know you're going to have some fears about what it costs to work with me. I've already told you exactly what it costs. There's no, I'm completely transparent. Let me tell you something. I know and you know, if we're meant to work together, we will find that way. I have ways to make it work. It's going to blow your mind, okay? But money aside, if I could help you with your problem, would you like to learn more? Of course. Who wouldn't like to get a solution to their problem, okay? They're going to say yes. And then you're going to share with them what's available, what's in it for them in exchange for the investment. When I invite you to come and do the next 6 weeks of intensive personal work with me, What's available for you is to stop struggling financially. Some of you have been struggling financially for decades. Some of you know that you want to say yes. You want to go to New Zealand with me in November and film a television show. That sounds exciting. And yet the idea of how am I going to come up with $10,000 seems insurmountable. Some of you would love to go to Africa with me and work with the Power of Love Foundation. But the whole idea sounds like a someday I'm gonna. All right. Some of you say, okay, I don't have time to get this handled because I'm so busy with other stuff. Guess what? The other stuff you're working on is wasting your life. You don't need to wait till you have a death, divorce, or disease in your life before you wake up and realize that 90% of the crap you spend your time on when you are not making money is costing you not only financially, it's costing your time. And your time is the one thing you cannot get back, guys. This is the thing you've got to get clear about. When you get your money stuff handled, when money stops being the problem. Have you ever thought about this? I mean, I use this as an excuse, but I'll just use sex because I kind of like that. When you have a great sex life, it's not, it's fun, okay, right? You guys figure out Scott and I are like complete opposites. He's an Aquarius, I'm a Leo. We've been married for almost 17 years. We are completely opposite people in so many ways, and yet somehow we stay together. I can only tell you that when you have a great sex life, you don't think about it too much. You just take it for granted. When you don't have sex and you don't have a good sex life, it's all you can think about. When you have health, when you're vital and you're energetic, it's awesome. You're like jamming, you're running through life. Some of you are really healthy people, you're active. Some of you are working on your health and you can see what happens. You know, talking about Heather losing all this weight. Her energy is like totally new person. When health is good, you kind of take it for granted. When you're sick or you're chronically aching, it sucks. And it's all you can think about. You know, back in the day when I had those babies, my babies were little. I still have them. They're grown up now. But when my babies were little and I was stressing, my God, I had ulcers. I used to take Nexium. I carried Tums around with me 24/7. My stomach hurt all the time. Why? Because I was stressed about money, right? And then all I could think about was my stomach was hurting. It was like this vicious cycle. Like, so I was stressed about money and my stomach would hurt. And all I could think about my stomach hurting. And I was stressed about money. It was like annoying. And how present was I for my babies? How present was I for the people I love? Not very, all right? So the things that you have that are working, you don't think about them too much. You're happy with them. I promise you that if you will go on this adventure with me and we can take money out of the equation, actually make it easy, and you will commit the time, because your relationship with time and money, because you're a human being, is completely and totally integrated. You're just not aware of it. You're using money as an excuse not to do the things you need to do. And you're using time as an excuse to not do the things you need to do. And when you get really clear about how you spend your time, the people who are the most successful people I know, and I hang out with some pretty cool folks, are so particular about their time. And I'll tell you what, they are completely available. I can text them, I can send them an email, and they get right back to me because they're present, they're in the moment. I want to take this pressure off of you. I want you to actually be able to be free and have money be the easy part, to know that you are fully supported, to know you have money coming in the background on a consistent, sustainable, recurring basis, so that you can be present for the people you love, so that you can accept the invitations, so that if you get the invite to do that which you love, that you're dreaming of doing, you can do it. The bottom line is, in the sales process, when you're serving somebody else, I want you to stay in what's in it for them. I want you to tell them what will happen when they get this handled. I want you to remember that all the money is in the emotion, all right? Because I promise you, those of you that will be on the fence at the end of this call about whether or not you should join me for the next 6 weeks in Sales with Ease, you're crazy if you don't join me in Sales with Ease. You're never going to have the chance to work with me privately unless you decide to hire me for $8,500 for a weekend or $15,000 or $30,000. And guess what? Those numbers have gone up. When I made my first offer, it was $5,000, and that was to work with me for 6 months privately every week. It's not like that anymore. You guys need to know that in your own businesses, your time is precious. You need to spend it on the things that are bringing in revenue, your revenue generating activities, and you need to help your clients and your prospects. If you actually know you have a solution to their problem, I want you to be as excited as I am right now talking to you about helping them. Do not work with people that are not your clients. Every one of you that are on this call, you're my clients, because otherwise you would have dropped off 30 minutes ago. All right? You're meant to be with me. I'm meant to be with you. And if we can get this handled, what's available for you on the other side is freedom. Freedom to have time with people you love. Freedom to say yes to invitations that, maybe you have to buy a plane ticket that costs $1,000. That doesn't stop you. Freedom to really sleep at night and have beautiful health. Freedom to have fun. You guys, you work way too hard. It's not fun being you when all you do is work. That's not fun. That's not when you got up and, when you were a little kid, you didn't say, gosh, when I grow up, all I'm going to do is stay up at midnight and stress about whether or not my taxes are paid and did my marketing sequence go out and, oh my gosh, is that client going to sue me? This isn't what you dreamed of. You dreamed of traveling the world. You dreamed of making a difference. You dreamed of being in love. You dreamed of being healthy and having fun and feeling good. This happens when money is handled. This is why we teach Sales with Ease. I do it once a year. If you don't want to join us in Sales with Ease, I love you, and I so hope that this training has been helpful for you, but I am sad. There are some of you on this call because I can see your names, and I am sad when I see you again and again, and you're still struggling. It hurts me. It hurts my heart to know that if you would trust yourself and you would join me in partnership, we could handle it together. But you are too afraid, and that makes me sad because I feel like I haven't done enough of my job to earn your trust. I don't want to see you year 2, year 3 having the same conversation. I don't. I want to see you be so easy around money that we're looking at how do we actually figure out how to have every child on the planet have water. That's a big one for me. That's my biggest one right now. We're very committed to our causes around education and stopping world hunger and infant mortality. But I can tell you, the one about why do people struggle with water? That just blows my mind in today's world. There's enough water. Okay, I need you. I need you to get it together so you can come help me find the solutions because you know people and you matter. In the same way that I mattered as an emerging leader to Brendon Burchard, you matter. You matter to me and you matter to the people that are out there struggling that need the message. So the 7 steps with Sales with Ease, you've got to get people off the fence. The way you get them off the fence is by talking about their emotion and what really matters to them. The way you know what really matters to them, it's a little hard when you're doing it like I am right now, one-sided. I know a lot of you. But when you're actually in a one-on-one conversation, if you've done a good job in warm-up and discovery, they've told you what the problem is. You've asked the right questions, you've gotten the right answers, and you actually know how to love them through their problem and help them. Okay? And then what happens is you get a great new relationship. So if you're able to see your screen, this is a picture of Diane Hoffman, who's one of our new Legacy Leader clients, and I met her recently at a charity event in the bathroom, and we made great friends, and she came to Limitless Women and just joined us as a Legacy Leader, so you guys will get a chance to get to know her personally when we get together as Legacy Leaders. Legacy Leaders, we get together every year at least 3 times, sometimes 4. This year we've gotten together in January for a retreat. We got together again at Limitless Women for 2 days. Then we got together in August. We're getting together in August at my house in Sedona. So we're having a private retreat for Legacy Leaders at my home in Sedona in August. And then we'll get together again in September at the Path to Freedom event. We always stay on together after the event so we can spend time together and work together. So bottom line, why do you want to get this handled? Why now? When you're not making money, it's impossible to be creative. When your bottom line suffers, you're dropping balls, and you only know what's happening for you in your personal life, in your sex life, in your relationship life, in your health life. If you decide you want to stay where you are, you know the definition of insanity. If you want to get the same results, you keep doing the same thing. If you want to get something different, you actually are going to have to do something different. And that's why I offer the Sales with Ease intensive training. In the Sales with Ease training, we're going to work together for the next 6 weeks personally. You've got live training calls with me. You've got bonus Q&A calls. You've got the formula worksheets. So the formula worksheets are this. I actually want you to craft your own sales formula with the language you need so that when you're speaking, it becomes masterful. So you know how you do this. There's a reason why you're going to see this. It's kind of cute because some of you that have been with me and been watching my emails, I offered this training 3 times live. I still don't think that I have it perfectly well, but I've got it better today than I did the first time I offered it. And each time I'm doing it, I'm getting better at it. And I think that that's the place for you in your own sales process and in your own world. As you keep practicing something, you get masterful at it. As you keep working out, your body starts responding. As you keep planting the seeds of love in your relationships deepen, right? As you keep getting better at your own business, you get better. So this is the piece that with sales, the reason why I'm making this a 6-week intensive is that I want this to be your sole area of focus in business development for the next 6 weeks. I'm doing it for my legacy leaders because I want them, again, to be able to join me in expansiveness And I'm inviting you now to join us, not as a legacy leader at $15,000, but I want you to join us in a way that, you get private time with me. Now, this slide was perfectly beautiful when it was uploaded to Instant Teleseminar, but for some reason it moved, so I apologize. But basically what I want you to do is work with me privately. Do you remember when I gave you the URL for the path-to-freedom-call.com? If you go to the path-to-freedom-call.com and you are in my Sales with Ease program that I'm getting ready to invite you to join, guess what? You're going to get accepted and you're going to get scheduled for a call immediately, because I want to talk to each and every one of you that are going to do Sales with Ease with us. I want to speak to you privately. And so all of you that are on the call right now that are legacy leaders, we're going to have a bonus call for you. It doesn't count against your calls that you get in your program, but I want some one-on-one time with you to really look at the sales process before we start getting into group trainings and before we start doing your scripts, because each of you have a place where you're stuck. A lot of you is in the clarity. You think you know what your 1, 2, 3 is, but you're all over the place. And without that, it's difficult to do the sales process. The first coach I hired was Fabienne Fredrickson. I paid her $15,000, and I said to her, listen, all I need is an elevator pitch. I got 3 30-minute phone calls with her for $15,000. That's all I got. And I said, she gave me more. She gave me a lot more group stuff, but there was no personal time. I said, I just need an elevator pitch. Now, I don't use the elevator pitch at all, but I'll tell you what, is I got really good at getting clear about who I'm here to serve, what they're struggling with, and how I can support them. And that action creates clarity. I'm inviting you to get that same clarity. You don't have to invest $15,000, but you might want to join me in this adventure. All right. If you decide that you want to join the Sales with Ease program, I'm going to take $100 of what you invest in this program, and I'm going to give it directly to the Unstoppable Foundation. So what we do with our programs is that 20% of anything that we offer when somebody comes to work with us, we ask that you donate it directly to the charity of your choice. So here in this program, we're going to donate it for you because we actually have a lump sum that's going to them on your behalf. And then when I go to Africa, which is July 1st, I'll be with the children in the village that we currently sponsor as a community, and I'll be able to connect you so you get a chance to actually see the child that you are educating. So your $100 donation actually provides education for a child for, I think, about 6 months at this point. And I'm very happy to connect you with the child that you are personally supporting because it's very cool to know who it is that you're getting to help. The other thing that you're going to get is you're going to get a VIP ticket to the Path to Freedom event. When we do live events, we don't make some people VIP and some people not VIP. We love everybody. We want everybody to really be involved and to eat with us, play with us, mastermind with us. We've tried it in the past. We did general admission, we did free tickets, all this other stuff. I just say this, I'd rather have a few people in the room that are fully committed to getting results than to, do a big event with hundreds of people and only a few people are actually going to show up and get results anyway. So if you decide to do the Sales with Ease program, what we're going to do is pay for, your meals and materials cost me close to $300 per person every time we do an event. A lot of printed materials, we feed you well, there's coffee, tea, lunches, et cetera, and so on and so forth. It's a 3-day event, so we will pay for that out of your investment to the program. So the Sales with Ease Intensive, there's 5 live training calls, 2 bonus Q&A calls, your Sales with Ease formula worksheets, which you will be completing and returning to me. You're going to get your sales script written. You're going to get a training on how to overcome objections forever, because there's the standard objections that we get again and again and again. I can't afford it. I don't have time for this. I'm not sure you're the right one. I have to talk to my partner. Trust me, we've got a litany of them, and we've actually got the scripts for you to overcome those so that it really becomes easy for you. And we're going to give you private time with me one-on-one. We're also going to make a donation in your name to the Unstoppable Foundation. We're going to give you a ticket to the Path to Freedom event, where we're going to feed you and pay for all of your materials, all included in what I'm offering. And there's more. There's always more. For the first time and for a short time, I'm going to offer a money-back guarantee. I've never done this before. We don't offer money-back guarantees. All of our contracts say when you're in, you're in. Join us as a partner. But for this program, I really want to try this out. So you guys are going to get to have kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If you join us for the next 6 weeks and you actually participate and you show up on the calls and you fill out the worksheets and you do your homework, which means you're going to actually be having sales conversations, because the only way this works is if you work it, and you do private calls with me, and we'll still make your donation to Unstoppable, and we'll still provide you with a ticket. If something happens and you don't make any money and you don't feel like this has been valuable for you, you don't think that it works, Then at the end of your 60 days, after you receive all of your homework and your assignments, I will refund your money in full. I will still go ahead and pay for your ticket to come to the event. I will still make a donation to Unstoppable in your name. I've never done this before, but I really believe in this product in a way that I know it's the game changer. I can't control whether or not you show up and do your homework. I can't control whether or not you actually make sales calls. I can't control a lot of what happens in your mindset, but I know and I'm confident in my ability to heal as a healer people who are suffering from a poverty consciousness. And the more leaders that I can heal who suffer from poverty consciousness and help them actually step into their leadership, I know that we can, as a community, break the cycles of poverty and heal the world. So the program is $14.97 if you decide you want to do it today. For the first 10 people who enroll, I'm not opening this up. This is not something that we did Facebook ads for. I did this as a live call because I'm really clear that it's personal work. It's personal work. It's important work. It's work that matters. I've got my legacy leaders community that I'm doing it for. They've asked me to do it. That's why I'm putting it together. But I'm opening it up to 10 people. It's not $14.97 if you decide you want to enroll today. It's $6.97 if you want to pay in full. Or if you're in a cash flow crunch, which may be why you're still on the call with me, I made it really easy for you. 3 easy payments of $277. Out of that $277, $100 of that is going to go to the Unstoppable Foundation in your name, and I will connect you with the child that you're sponsoring. $197 of that is going to go towards your meals. Your materials, really, I always end up paying for that anyway as a host of an event. But basically, if you look at that, if you took $297 out of it, really, you're looking at, for basically $400. You get to work with me privately for the next 6 weeks. And you get the chance, more importantly, to handle your financial mindset once and for all. When people work with me in year-long programs, they join us for a second year and third year, it's because we're really committed to helping you handle the places where you're stuck financially, stuck in what it takes to stand in the power of a global leader. And I know that because you're still on the call, because you're listening to this, you're here to make a huge difference in the world. I want to make sure that you understand that in partnership, we can make it happen. Nobody does it alone. Nobody gets there by themselves. We each need to be fully supported to overcome the fears, to step into our greatness, and more importantly, to share resources. There's a lot I've learned over the last 5 years of developing an internet marketing business, of crafting a following of over 20,000 people. And I'm small potatoes to Brendan Burchard, but I've got some really cool people on speed dial. So, for those of you that want to have access, they want to have resources, it's very cool for you to tell me what you need and let me look at how I can support you. And that happens in private calls. So the way to register for this, if you'd like to join us, is to go to tinyurl.com. That's tinyurl.com/make sales now. So you just type into your browser, www.tinyurl.com/make sales now. There's not a sales sheet there. You're not going to get a video from me. You're being invited by me personally now. You're on the training. We're doing live training. If you're serious and you want to get this handled, it would be my honor and my pleasure to work with you. You'll go to Make Sales Now. You have 2 options. You can either pay in full for $697, which will include your Unstoppable donation, your ticket to Path to Freedom, including your meals, and it will also include private time with me, and we will get you set up immediately. We start this week. I'm calling it a 6-week program, but we're actually going to run through 7 weeks because I don't leave. The next 6 weeks takes us through, I think, June 25th, and I actually have a bonus call scheduled for June 29th. We're going to have more time, and I'm happy to work with you through email and answer your questions. Really kind of in the way that I did here tonight. It's very different. We actually get to talk personally and work with one another. So 3 easy payments of just $277 if that makes it easy for you. The page is set up to do either or. And, do yourself a favor and be the person that makes a decision today. The normal price of the course, the reason we valued it at $14.97 is that we will, after I do this training, there'll be recordings of it. We'll put it up for sale online. We always sell the course. We sell this one. We sell Accelerate Your Business for $24.97. People buy it without any private time, without live time with me. and they're happy, and we're happy for them, and we want them to enjoy it, and that's great. The course is highly valuable. It gives you the breakdown. It gives you the structure. It gives you the formula that you need to actually solve your financial problems in business, and you get the bonuses. And you want to make sure that you get there and you make it happen. And when we offer this in the future, it's just not going to be live, right? It'll still be highly valuable, but all the stuff that you're hearing that I'm doing with you personally and the money back guarantee, all that goes away, right? And it's not along, where I am right now is I'm inviting you to come to a sales page that has none of the details. It's the shopping cart. It's make the decision, get off the fence. If you have questions, you're welcome to contact me personally. I've given you my email address. Most of you have it anyway if you're part of our community. It's laura@lauragisborn.com. If you write to me, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And if you know you're ready to get started and you want to get into action and you want to actually have your private time with me right now, what I want you to do is go to tinyurl, www.tinyurl.com/make sales now. Choose the option that works best for you, and we'll get started right away. And I told you about another goodie that I was going to give you, which is if you haven't read my book, Stop the Spinning. It's not a very long book, but it's a powerful book. And it's the first book that I wrote. If you'll go to www.laurafreebook, LauraFreebook.com, laurafreebooks.com. You can go there and get an e-copy, and that's available for you at an extra charge. And it's my pleasure to do that. So I'd like to welcome those of you that are interested in doing the work, that are committed to doing the work, that are signing up right now. So I'm going to unmute. And if you have decided that you are ready to join us at Sales with Ease and you have questions about the program or how we're getting started or what day we start, I'm so happy to answer those for you. And if you are not joining us, I so appreciate your time, and I really hope this has been valuable for you. There'll be tickets available online for the Path to Freedom event. You make a donation to charity and pay a meals and material fee when we get that set up for you. Happy to have you with us if you're not ready to do the sales training. But I think if you are ready to do the sales training, now would be a great time for you to actually get into action and work with me on getting these things handled. So I'm going to go ahead and put us back